Talk about the transition from leaving college basketball and moving into the WNBA.
Hull's career was hanging by a thread until Caitlin Clark arrived. A shocking new interview reveals how Clark's leadership saved Hull and transformed the Indiana Fever. What really happened behind the scenes, from crushing lows to a stunning comeback. This is a story you don't want to miss. Stick around to uncover the truth. Be here. So you have basketball in your genes. Your grandfather played basketball, your dad, and you have a twin sister who you played basketball with. Growing up, what was it like growing up in that family dynamic? Well, we have a super competitive family, and having my dad played basketball collegiately, knew that basketball was going to be put in my hands at the early age, but my parents were, super excited about having us try every sport imaginable. So yeah, we grew up. Lexie Hull's professional basketball journey began with high hopes, but quickly turned into a battle for relevance as the sixth overall pick in the 2022 WNBA draft. She arrived red with the promise of being a key figure for the Indiana Fever. For me, it happened really quick. We finish up the Final Four, and then a week later the draft happens, and then a few days after that, packing up my dorm room and moving to the Midwest. So it was a big transition, especially moving someplace that I had. However, that promise was soon overshadowed by underwhelming performances and limited playing time by the start of the 2024 season. Hull was on the verge of being forgotten, with her minutes dwindling and fans questioning whether she'd ever live up to her potential. It could have been the basketball part of the transition is really tough. Everybody out on the court was one of the best players on their college teams, definitely the best player likely from their high school team. So it's just this: the transition from college to the WNBA was far tougher than Hull had imagined. At Stanford, she was a star, celebrated for her grit, athleticism, and basketball IQ. She helped her team win a national championship and seemed destined for professional greatness, but in the WNBA the stakes were higher and the competition was fiercer. Every player on the court had been the best in their respective programs, and Hull suddenly found herself struggling to keep up. It was tough, Hull admitted in a recent interview. You go from being a key player in college to sitting on the bench watching others take the minutes you worked so hard for. It messes with your head. By the time the 2024 season rolled around, Hull was dangerously close to being labeled a bust. Her confidence was shaken, and the Fever as a team weren't in a better position. They opened the season with a miserable 118 record, and the locker room was tense. Criticism of the coaching staff and the team's lack of chemistry was rampant, and the mood was anything but hopeful. Fans were losing patience, and so were the players. Then came the turning point: Caitlin Clark's arrival. Indiana Fever, I've seen so much growth, not only on the team side of how we're performing on the court, but also the growth in fans. I mean, on the road it felt like home games were playing in sold-out arenas that we have not played in the last. Clark, a college basketball sensation and one of the most hyped rookies in recent memory, brought a spark that the Fever desperately needed. Known for her electrifying PL style and fierce competitiveness, Clark wasn't just another player, she was a game changer. From the moment she joined the team, everything began to shift. Yeah, you got to be on the court with Caitlin Clark, and you also struck up a friendship with her. Can you talk about how important it is to have that camaraderie on and off the court? I think it was important to get to know her off the court, because I do think that connections, getting to know people, really play a part in the success of teams. And it's really awesome to get to know her as well, because she's a great person, but you have all these expectations put on her, and our team has put on her and fans have put on her. So to see her kind of be so mature in that transition, it's been really awesome, and I'm just really proud to have her on the team. And for Hull, Clark's arrival marked the beginning of a redemption arc that few saw coming. Hull had been struggling to find her place in the Fever system, often unsure of how to contribute effectively, but Clark's presence changed that dynamic entirely. Her ability to see plays unfold before they happened and deliver pinpoint passes created opportunities that simply hadn't existed before. Suddenly, Hull found herself in open spaces, receiving passes she didn't think were possible, and being put in positions to succeed. Caitlin changed everything. Hull said her energy, her vision, her ability to make everyone around her better, it was contagious. She made me believe in myself again. The shift wasn't immediate, but it was undeniable. Practices became more intense, with Clark's competitive fire pushing everyone to elevate their game. Hull began to focus on improving her cutting and shooting, knowing that with Clark on the floor, every opportunity mattered. She started to feel a renewed sense of purpose, pouring herself into the work and trusting that her moment would come. I think what really helped was Caitlin's encouragement. Hull explained she wasn't just focused on her own performance, she genuinely wanted all of us to succeed. If I missed a shot, she'd say, "You'll get the next one." That kind of support makes a huge Difference Clark's leadership extended beyond the court. Her influence in the locker room helped to rebuild the team's morale, fostering a sense of camaraderie that had been sorely missing. Hull described how Clark's maturity and positivity created an environment where players felt supported even in the face of challenges. It wasn't just about basketball, Hull said. Caitlin made an effort to connect with us as people, and that connection translated to better chemistry on the court. It was like a domino effect. When one player stepped up, it inspired everyone else to do the same. The Fever's offense began to transform, with Clark orchestrating plays that maximized her teammates' strengths. For Hull, this meant more than just an increase in playing time. It was an opportunity to redefine herself as a player. Her shooting percentages improved, her confidence grew, and she started to make a noticeable impact in games. Fans who had once doubted her began to take notice of her resurgence, but the journey wasn't without its challenges. Hull admitted that the pressure of performing in the WNBA, combined with the expectations placed on her, could be overwhelming. Social media, in particular, became a double-edged sword, with both praise and criticism flooding her feeds after every game. It's hard not to read the comments, Hull admitted. Sometimes it's motivating, but other times it gets in your head. That's why having teammates like Caitlin is so important. They keep you grounded. As the season progressed, the Fever began to turn things around. Their improved chemistry and renewed focus on team play translated to better results on the court. Hull became a key contributor, thriving in her role and proving that she belonged in the WNBA. Meanwhile, Clark's star continued to rise, drawing fans to games and generating excitement around the team. For Hull, the 2024 season went from being a nightmare to a story of redemption. She credits much of her turnaround to Clark's leadership and the culture shift she brought to the team. But it wasn't just about what Clark did for Hull, it was about how she changed the entire trajectory of the Indiana Fever. This season taught me a lot about resilience, Hull said. It's not just about talent, it's about staying ready, trusting the process, and leaning on your teammates. I'm grateful for everything Caitlin has brought to this team, not just for me, but for all of us. As the season unfolded, the impact of Caitlin Clark's arrival became more apparent, not just to the fans, but to everyone inside the Fever organization. Practices grew more competitive, games became more cohesive, and the team's energy shifted. The chemistry Clark brought wasn't just contagious, it was transformative for Lexie Hull. This shift became the platform for her comeback story. Hull's struggles at the start of the season seemed like a distant memory. With Caitlin's pinpoint passing and ability to see opportunities no one else could, Lexie found herself in positions she hadn't experienced before, whether it was being wide open for a shot or cutting through the defense to make a play. Hull's confidence grew with every game. She described the transformation as a complete 180, not just for her performance, but for her mindset as well. I'd been working hard all along, Hull said, but it felt like nothing was clicking. Caitlin showed me how to trust my instincts again, and she gave me the confidence to take those chances. Clark's presence on the court wasn't just about her skill, it was about her ability to elevate those around her. Her court vision, basketball IQ, and unrelenting drive created opportunities for her teammates to shine. Hull described how Clark would deliver passes in impossible situations, making her feel like she was always a threat on the floor. It's not just about cutting to get open anymore, Hull explained. With Caitlin, every cut has a purpose. She sees things before they happen. I've had passes come to me where I didn't even realize I was open, yet this new dynamic allowed Hull to find her rhythm. By the midpoint of the season, her shooting percentages had improved significantly, and she became a reliable contributor during clutch moments. For a player who had once doubted her place in the league, this resurgence was nothing short of remarkable. Fans began to notice, with social media lighting up with praise for Hull's newfound confidence and energy. But the